everybody, I am Regret, and welcome back to my channel for my second ever video. My camera's over here, my game is over here, so if you see me looking here, I'm just looking at the game to find stuff. It's also where my notes and all that fun stuff is, and every time I click on my second monitor, the music's gonna pause and skip out and all that fun stuff, so bear with me. I don't have everything kind of sorted out yet. Still new to this whole thing, trying to learn. Anyway, the whole reason for making this Prot Paladin guide is I hear people say since patch 7.0 that Prot Paladins are trash, they're garbage, they don't work for anything, and most people hate them. I hear that a lot. I also hear a lot of people say they're good. I personally think they're good. It's going to be my main in Legion. It's what I'm going to be using for my guild's mythic progression. Sempiternal WoW and Zagor Martian Hellscream. There's a little plug for you. I just want to go over you know what I think about the class, what's good, what's not, and how it feels when I play it. So without further ado, let's get started. First off, since pre-patch drops for Legion, what has changed? The biggest thing is Holy Power is now gone, which most of you have probably already noticed. Everything, including our active mitigation, is based on some type of charge system or something like that. Shield of the Righteous, 3 charges. Blessed Hammer, if you should choose it, and Talons is also 3 charges. Anyway, it basically boils down to how you want to play. Both ways are viable. I prefer Blessed Hammer, but we'll get into that a little bit later. It seems like bonus armor is gone for Prot Paladins. It's basically been pushed into versatility, which I don't really like that Blizzard's pushing versatility so hard because everybody seems to hate it. It's pretty linear and it still doesn't seem to scale that well. Don't get me wrong, it helps. I have a lot of versatility on my Paladin. I play pretty well. I don't have any trouble dying. Self-healing is obviously not what it used to be. Blizzard did say they want tanks to get hit harder. Other than that, those are pretty much the bigger changes. Crusader Strike is gone. Stuff like that. Basically, they rolled all of it into Hammer of the Righteous, so it's now your spammable ability depending on your talents. So, aside from that, let's go ahead and get into talents and see where we're going with that. Your main abilities as a Prot Paladin are going to be Avenger Shield, Shield of the Righteous, Consecration, Ardent Defender, Lighted Protector, and Hammer of the Righteous. And yes, I did just read that off my screen. Basically, your cooldowns, your healing, and your rotation. Your rotation's more or less a priority system, but that's neither here nor there. So, back into it, talents. For Tier 1, I go Blessed Hammer. Throws a Blessed Hammer that spirals outward, dealing 4,574 holy damage to enemies that it hits, and causing them to deal 15% less damage to you on their next auto attack. Which, this is good. You get 3 charges, it's got a 3-second recharge time, so literally every other spell you cast should be this Blessed Hammer, because it reduces auto attack, it reduces physical damage by their next auto attack by 15%. Excuse me. And as a tank, mitigation is what you want, it's what you need, it's what keeps you alive when your healer keeps you alive, but it makes your healer's life easier, and as a tank, your job is to make people's life easier. As a tank, what you want to do is make your DPS, feel okay, don't be moving the boss around, all kinds of stuff, and make sure you mitigate damage so your healer's not flipping the fuck out, you know what I mean? And move out of fire, they don't like that either. Every other X-Pack before this one, I was a healer, and it's really frustrating. A second choice in Tier 1 would be Holy Shield, which increases your block chance by 10%, allows you to block spells, and successful blocks deal 5,378 holy damage to your attacker. I think Blessed Hammer gives you more mitigation, more charges, stuff like that. You can use it a lot more often. Holy Shield's are passive, so if you don't want that, it's not really going to take a button away because you're still going to have Hammer of the Righteous, and that's basically going to be your spammable ability. But this is a block chance that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to coordinate with other things. Consecrated Hammer, in my opinion, is garbage. I tried it out, didn't like it. It really didn't do anything at all for me. But if you want to try it, Hammer of the Righteous has no cooldown. Shield of the Righteous, Light of the Protector now always gain the benefit of Consecration. monitoring your consecration is really not all that hard. So really, I would just stick with that. Blessed Hammer is the way I go. It's what I prefer. For your tier 2 talents, I go with Bastion of Light. Immediately grants 3 charges of Shield of the Righteous. It's 3-minute cooldown. It's pretty self-explanatory. Shield of the Righteous is your active mitigation. You only get 3 charges, and it's like a 15-second recharge time, depending on your haste. So you're not going to be able to keep it up 100% of the time like you did in Warlords of Draenor, which you didn't get 100% then either, but you got pretty damn close. So you're really going to have to watch your Shield of the Righteous and make sure you're using it when you're supposed to. It also deals a decent bit of damage, so if you're not going to take a lot of damage, you're capped. You want to keep it on cooldown. Basically, you want to have charges banked for when you need them, but you don't want it to be sitting there at 3 charges. Use it and always have at least 1 recharging. Me, I try to keep 1 to 2 charges banked in case I know some damage is coming up, my other cooldowns are down, or I'm not going to be able to use them. Or Shield of the Righteous has a lot longer or a lot shorter cooldown than the rest of them, so if I can use that to get through the damage, I'd rather do that and save my bigger cooldowns for later on in the fight. Other options are First Avenger, increases the damage of Avenger's shield and increases the chance of its remaining cooldown to reset abilities, talents by 50%, but it now only hits 1 target. This may be good on single target. I probably won't be using it. I like the fact that my Avenger shield hits multiple targets all the time, and Bastion of Light with the extra charges is too good for somebody like me to pass up. But if you wanted to run that on a single target fight, I would get it. It's probably a pretty good damage increase, but you're a tank. You're not supposed to deal damage. You're supposed to hold aggro and make sure the other people don't take damage that is unnecessary. That's your job, in case you forgot. Crusader's Judgment. Judgment can also trigger Grand Crusader. Don't worry about it. Grand Crusader triggers enough. It's fine. You don't need it. Your tier 3 talent is all about CC. You got Fist of Justice, Repentance, and Binding Light. I go Blinding Light because I like it. Really doesn't affect your playstyle at all, so basically whatever you want to do is fine. Pick whatever you want in there. For your tier 4 talent, I use Blessing of Spell Warding because as Paladin, I feel like our magic mitigation is a little lackluster. It does replace Blessing of Protection. So if you're going to need to bop someone in a fight, you need to change this talent. You can get Cavalier Divine Steed now has 2 charges. That's pretty good, especially if you take Knights Templar, so that's what I would go with outside of Blessing of Spell Warding. Retribution Aura does not proc anywhere near enough. So I think that's complete and total garbage. I would never use it at all. I may switch to Cavalier if I need more mitigation, which you do get mitigation from Divine Steed if you run Knights Templar, which I do. So the reason I run it is basically it's like another 20% damage mitigation. It's basically another charge of Shield of the Righteous for me. And if it has 2 charges plus the reduced cooldown time, that's pretty sweet. And then into your tier 5 talent, I run Knights Templar. Reduces the cooldown of Divine Steed by 50% and reduces all damage taken while mounted on your Divine Steed by 20%. It's mitigation. You get to use it more often. Mobility is going to be key in a lot of raid bosses, it looks like. And it's always nice to have a little speed boost, whenever. Can't fly in Draenor, Can't fly in Legion when it first comes out, so yeah, Draenor's done. We're done with that. We're out of here. Fuck you, Blizzard, making us play that for 10 years. Anyway, Knights Templar is what I run. Some people do run Final Stand. When you use Divine Shield, you also taunt targets within 15 yards for 8 seconds, which is good, so they don't fly off and kill the rest of the raid when you bubble, and you still get your immunity to physical damage, which is always good. I can see this coming in handy in a lot of raids, especially when you don't really need the movement and high damage moments. Maybe your healers fall behind, you need a bubble so they can catch up to you, and that way you don't lose any threat while you're doing it because you're perpetually taunting them, so that could help. Hand of the Protector is it's got a 7-second cooldown, but basically calls down a light to heal friendly target for 27% of the target's missing health. Replaces Light of the Protector, which basically only heals you. You're a tank, you're not supposed to heal other people, that's a healer's job. I would keep my own heals for myself. Maybe that's stingy, but if they're really falling that far behind and you have threat, you can take a second and drop a flash of light out if need be. It's a 2-second cast and you don't need your mana for anything else, so if they need help, that's where your help comes from. For this, your tier 6 talent also helps out a little bit. I run Judgment of the Light. Judgment now applies Judgment of the Light to the target, causing the next 40 successful attacks against the target to heal the attacker for 1,434. This effect can only occur once per second on each target. It's a very small heal, but every little bit helps. You know, when you Judgment the target, your melee DPS and ranged DPS, when they hit him after you jumped it, after you Judgment, the next 40 attacks will apply a little bit of heal. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but you never know. That 1,000 could be the one to save somebody's life. You know, it could buy them that extra second that the healer needs to get a heal off on them and keep them in the fight. So, probably not, because it's only 1,000, but, you know, every little bit helps, like I said. The other choices are Aegis of Light. Channels an Aegis of Light that protects you and all your allies standing within 10 yards behind you for 6 seconds, reducing all damage taken by 20%. This looks really cool. It looks great. But it's a nice little 6-second cooldown to keep your melee alive. It's going to require some coordination. They're going to have to get behind you so you can protect them. But, you know, this is channeled, so you're not attacking for this amount of time. I think this is going to be very situational. In some bosses, you may need it if they have some kind of conal attack that healers can't keep up with, or just does a fuck ton of damage. This is something that they would use to, you know, a tank would use just to help healers out. Again, it's very situational. I see Judgment of the Light being pretty much set and forget. At least in my mind, that's how it looks. Your other option is Consecrated Ground. Passive, up to 6 allies standing within your consecration receive 595 healing every 0.8 seconds, and enemies within your consecration have a 50% reduced movement speed. The reduced movement speed is really not going to work on raid bosses, obviously, and the healing is not big enough for it to really be viable. You get more out of Judgment of Light, especially at the rate you cast Judgment. Judgment comes down a lot, so that is going to do bigger numbers than Consecrated Ground would, so I would use that. For your tier 100 talent, all 3 are viable. Seraphim is gear dependent to me. What I run most of the time right now, because I'm not in raid. In raid, I'll run Righteous Protector, but right now I run Last Defender because I'm like the king of big pulls. You know, I'll pull a whole room if I feel like it. Last Defender, each enemy within 8 yards reduces the damage that you take and increases the damage you deal by 3%. This effect has diminishing returns. So as those enemy die, you lose some mitigation and you lose some damage. But it's a nice little increase, and it can help you stay alive and, you know, stuff like 5-man, stuff like that when you're out questing, shit like that. If you pull way too much, it's going to help you live, survive, all that stuff. Seraphim, the light temporarily magnifies your power. It's a 30-second cooldown, increasing your haste, critical strike, mastery, and versatility by 750. It's a huge stat increase. It's going to be a big damage increase. The problem lies in it consumes up to 2 charges of Shield of the Righteous and lasts 8 seconds per charge. So if it takes 2 charges, you get 16 seconds of boost damage, but to get those 2 charges back, that's 30 seconds of recharge time. So if you run into a big damage phase, you're going to end up burning one of your other bigger cooldowns to stay alive. And I personally don't feel like that's worth it, especially not for progression. Maybe when everybody's geared out, you know, full best in slot and stuff like that, and you just want to burn through stuff faster, go Seraphim, do a little bit more damage, and help everybody out. I think this will probably be my go-to when we start pushing progression, Righteous Protector. For right now, I'm not running it because I don't feel as if I need it. But later on during progression, I definitely think it'll be necessary for what you need to do. It's a passive, and Shield of the Righteous reduces the remaining cooldown on Light of the Protector and Avenging Wrath by 3 seconds. Actually, on the beta, I think I am running this now instead of Last Defender. I outgear HFC pretty hard, so I use Last Defender for the bigger pools. Seems to help out, but Righteous Protector is probably going to be the majority of people are going to go for that one. But either way is fine. And like I said, if you guys disagree with anything I say, leave a comment. I'll respond. Maybe I'll learn something from you, but hopefully you guys can learn something from me too. That's about it for talents. So let's go ahead and move on to stat priority and what I think is going to go on there. Stat priority is basically, most people are saying versatility first. I'm doing a little different. I'm going haste first to get my global cooldown down and some of my recharge times down, because I find right now I don't have enough haste to keep. Well, on this tune I have 30% haste, but on the beta I'm 110. I've replaced some gear. My haste is down to 11%, and I have some downtime in my rotation. So if you want to prioritize some haste, which will also help with your mitigation, before versatility, that's fine. But as written, it's versatility, haste, mastery, and crit being your worst. But me, I would go haste versus mastery. Your mastery is still good. It's good as it's ever been. Increases your mitigation and reduces the damage you take, increases the damage you do, all that kind of stuff. Can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I'll read it for you. Divine Bulwark increases damage reduction from Shield of the Righteous by 12%. That changes with how much mastery you have, so that's just according to my mastery currently. And increases your chance to block melee attacks by 24%. Also increases your attack power by 24%. That's where your damage increase comes from. All that fun stuff. There is a haste cap. I'm not sure what it is right now. I don't think anybody knows what it is right now. But basically you want to get to the point where you don't have any downtime in your rotation. You want everything to flow nicely. You don't want to be waiting. And all that kind of stuff. You want everything to go well. Rotation. Your rotation isn't really a rotation as much as it is a priority system, because everything is tied to mitigation. So I'm going to run over here to this training dummy real quick so you can see some of this stuff. I'm not going to do the tanking dummy because I don't want to die and look retarded. But basically I always open up with Avenger's Shield. Most paladins do that kind of stuff. You know, followed by Consecrate, then Judgment, then Blessed Hammer. After that, your Blessed Hammer is literally going to be every other spell you cast, just because of the extra mitigation it does. And when I do this, trying to talk my way through it, I'm probably going to mess it up. Like I said, keep one charge of Shield of the Righteous recharging at all times. You know what I mean? You don't want to stay capped because it does do damage. And like I said, as a tank, your job is not to deal damage. As far as situational stuff, we'll get into that in a minute. Let me basically show you what I do when I open. Like I said, I start out with Avenger's Shield, then I go to Consecrate, Blessed Hammer, Judgment, Shield of the Righteous. And then I just basically just move everything around, you know what I mean? As you can see right now, I still have a little bit of downtime in my rotation, but literally every other, you want to use Grand Crusader procs as soon as they happen, so they don't ever see how much I'm proccing. That's why I said Consecrated Ground isn't needed. I do have my 4-set, but literally every other thing, unless you have a Grand Crusader proc, is basically going to be Blessed Hammer because of the extra mitigation it does. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And I would do a lot more DPS if I was playing around. Right now I'm only doing about 30k because I'm showing you guys, but I normally do a lot more than that. Make sure you don't let Consecration fall off like I just did, and the class animations look a lot cooler than right now. But anyway, that's basically it. You know, you can pop your tank ring at the beginning, all that fun stuff, but basically just, you know, monitor what you have going on. Like I capped on charges of that of Blessed Hammer there. You don't want to do that. And I'm jacking this all up trying to talk while I'm doing it. I'm not used to that. I gotta get used to that. Always keep one charge of Shield of the Righteous recharging. Basically, that's it. But other than that, it's really all you need to know. Divine Steed when you need some extra mitigation or movement. Light of the Protector when you're low on health. Stuff like that. You guys all know that. As far as situational and cooldown usage, that's at your discretion. You do have some pretty big cooldowns. As a paladin, you have a lot, especially when you get to your artifact weapon. You get Eye of Tear, which is pretty awesome. It's a nice sound effect. It looks great. All that kind of stuff. But for right now, your active mitigation is Shield of the Righteous. That's what you're going to be using the majority of the time to reduce 20% of your damage. Aside from that, you have some bigger cooldowns. Ardent Defender reduces all damage you take by 20% for 8 seconds while Ardent Defender is active. The next attack that would otherwise kill you will instead bring you to 12% of your maximum health, which is not a lot. So your healer's got to be on it. But if you get to the point where you're like, oh shit, I'm going to fucking die, I don't want to bubble, but I'm going to die if I don't use something. Use Ardent Defender, it'll keep you alive long enough for your healers to get to you. After that, you have Guardian of Ancient Kings. Empowers you with the Spirit of Ancient Kings, reducing all damage you take by 50%. That's magic and physical, which is good. I can't remember off the top of my head how much it lasts. 8 seconds. You get 8 seconds with it. You turn into this cool Guardian guy here, which is pretty sweet. You can glyph it to be a female if you're a female player. Basically any way you want to go. But that's a nice cooldown if it's another oh shit button as a paladin that you have. Some of your main mitigation aside from that, Lay of the Protector, decent heal. This is not going to top you off like Lay on Hands would or like Word of Glory would, which is also now gone. I didn't mention that before. Resolve's gone too, so Word of Glory or this isn't as powerful as it could be. But it's pretty good. If you're low on health, it's a decent sized heal to keep you alive long enough for your healers to get to you. I've been saying that a lot. Your healers need to get to you. That's because Blizzard have made you dependent on a healer. You're not going to be able to solo bosses for the last 3 minutes of a fight anymore like you used to be able to. I don't know, maybe when you're fully geared to the teeth and outgear the content and stuff like that, maybe you can do it then. But for progression and most of the way through the X-Pack, you are going to have to be good healers. Sorry, healers, you can't ride on our coattails anymore. And I was one of those coattail riding healers. I've been a healer in every X-Pack except for this one. So, you know, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Sure, you guys will be fine. I'll be coming out with some healer videos too to help you guys out. Aside from that, you have your Divine Shield, your bubble. Everybody knows what that does. Protects you from all damage spells for 8 seconds. Cannot be used if you have Forbearance, which comes from your hand abilities, this, Lay on Hand, stuff like that. Causes Forbearance for 30 seconds, so you can't use another hand's ability on yourself for 30 seconds, which is fine. I haven't been in any situations where it was that dire that I needed to use them back to back. If you are, chances are it's not going to help. You're going to wipe, and it's time to reset anyway, which is not a big deal. And then you have, obviously, your Lay on Hands. Everybody knows what that is. Heals a friendly target for an amount equal to your maximum health. Cannot be used to a target with Forbearance. Causes Forbearance for 30 seconds. This is now a 10-minute cooldown. You can't You can't spec Clemency anymore and reduce it to 5 minutes, which kind of sucks, so you only get to use it once. I 90% of the time use this on myself, but say if a healer or the other tank really needs some fucking help, I will send this over their way if I have it up in other cooldowns to maybe help myself for the rest of the fight. Other than that, that's basically it for a Paladin. You have other cooldowns such as Avenging Wrath, increases all damage and healing you deal by 35% for 20 seconds. So that's kind of like a mitigation, but it's a damage increase too. It's pretty fun, only a 2-minute cooldown, so you can use it a few times. I usually use it on my opener, and then I save it for when I need it later on in the fight. And then you have your Bop, which I have Blessing of Spell Warding now. Everybody knows what Blessing of Protection does. But Blessing of Spell Warding places a blessing on a party or raid member, protecting them from all magical attacks for 10 seconds. Cannot be used on a target with Forbearance. So if it's a high magic fight, I would save this for yourself as a cooldown, like Soul in HFC would have been what you wanted to use this on. Now it's nerfed, so it really does no damage. You ain't gonna worry about it. But this is what you would have used that for. And then you have your typical Blessing of Sacrifice, places a blessing on a party or raid member, transferring 30% of damage taken to you for 12 seconds until transferred damage would cause you to fall below 20% health. So if your other tank's having trouble, you got a melee DPS, it's very important, like your rogue or something taking a lot of damage, you want to save their life, sack them. just make sure you let your healers know before you use sack, because you're going to be taking a ton more damage than you normally do, and they need to know to be able to keep you alive, or you're going to be burning through too many cooldowns and you're not going to have enough for the rest of the fight. Just make sure you use your cooldowns at the right time. You don't want to be that guy that's in a situation where you've already blown through all your cooldowns and now there's a high damage point in the fight coming and you don't know what to do because you don't have any cooldowns and you got to call for externals. And yes, that's what externals are there for, but you know, you'd rather keep them from when all your other stuff is gone. But other than that, if anybody has any questions, just hit me up, let me know, and I'll help you guys out. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/ or at fuck it. You can find me at Twitter at regretsc2. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/regretsc2_. Like I said, I got my start in StarCraft, so that's why SC2 is and all that stuff. My main game now is World of Warcraft. I'm a Blizzard horse, so that's where you can find me. You're watching this on YouTube, but I will include a link in my Twitch profile, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, so people can find me. If you're interested in playing with us or on maybe joining my raid team, sempeternalwow.com. Apply. We'll get back to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing back. So anyway, drop a comment, like, surprise, dislike. Give me some kind of feedback. I am new to this. I want to spice up my videos. I want you guys to enjoy coming to watch these things. I tried to keep this short. I got into it a little bit. Wasn't able to do this. 26 minutes, but if you guys make it through, let me know and drop me a like. Anyway, the next guy that's going to be coming out is going to be Feral Druid, followed by Shadow Priest, followed by Disc Priest. Those are going to be the next couple guides. It's probably going to be next weekend. I still got to do all my graphics and video editing and all that stuff, so I got some time to put in before I can make another video. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys coming back, and have a good time. Keep playing, man. I'll see you guys around.